It's a sweet victory for the 22-year-old redhead. This time the Wimbledon crown did not slip from his grasp. The reward for his straight-set victory is the trophy presented by the Duchess of Kent. The Duchess honors a king.
When Rod Laver won his first Wimbledon title in 1961, he was the king of the amateur game. He received a £15 voucher for his win. 7 years later, he won the title as a professional.
I think the Wimbledon final, which Rod Laver won in about 1968, he won £1,000.
It was an honour to play the tournament and to have, $1,000 in your pocket.
There's no denying the sport has changed. The global growth of the game on and off the court continues, with massive broadcast rights and huge prize money. But today's players know they owe a great deal to the trailblazers of the sport.
I have heard so much about Gonzalez, who, as everyone knows, is the professional tennis champion of the world.
US tennis champion turned promoter Jack KRAMER kept the Pro Tour alive in the 1950s by signing one Wimbledon champion after another. KRAMER's raids on the Davis Cup lineups caused clashes with the defenders of the amateur faith.
I'd like to clear up the situation regarding whether or not professional tennis would be accepted. I've heard lots of rumors, pro and con, about how the public and how the officials feel.
The Pro Tour exposed the sham amateur tournaments, whereby top players were receiving under-the-counter payments to stay in the amateur game.
Turning professional in '63 wasn't always about the money. Yes, it was important, but I think I wanted to play against the best players in the world.
With no established tour, professional players had to resort to a barnstorming series of one-night events, creating a sort of travelling roadshow.
Did a lot of one-night stands all around the world for 5 years. It was a job, just purely a job, day in, day out. And on all surfaces, we played on bull rings in the old Madison Square Garden with canvas court draped over ice. It was not always a wonderful time turning pro. I had to accept that I'd never be back at Wimbledon again. I'd never be at the French. I'd never be at the US Open or the Australian.
A strict amateurs-only policy was in place at the Grand Slams until the Open era changed the tennis landscape forever.
All through my career, it was playing for trophies. Open tennis came about in 1968. Prize money came about.
And seeing the explosion that has happened since 1968, it's just a wonderful feeling.
The Pro Tour's revered place in the history of the game and dressing room lore of its combatants are the cornerstone on which the Laver Cup is built.